Okay, Bill.
Okay, thank you. Um, as Jay mentioned, we're going to go over tonight how to create a visual story using Adobe Express. Adobe Express has a lot of different options, as you'll see when we get to that point. And we're creating well, it is a web page is what we're creating. And the way I've seen this demonstrated, the way I learned it, is somebody demoed how to create one, and it is a pretty intuitive tool. So I just thought I'd go through quick what I'm going to create, and then I'll pop over and we'll create it. This happens to be a visual story that well, the gal I see, Mary, her daughter's named Erin, and the Bill here is definitely not me. It's older than her, another gentleman that they did this CrossFit competition, and that's what this visual story represents. As you can tell from Erin's shoulders, she's in pretty good shape. And with the visual story, and Jay did send out a link, and I think I did send one out earlier. Jay sent it out of another story, and all you have to do is scroll down on the web page. And as you can see, you can put text as well as images in it. And yeah, it was really, I wasn't so sure it'd be that interesting, but it was really interesting and kind of exciting to watch these guys push themselves to the limit. This is the Bill that participated in the competition. They did a series of exercises and they would time it and they would do the max they could do, and then they'd take a break and go to the next one. There were a variety of exercises. And the breaks, you could tell Aaron was pretty well gassed at that point. One of the things, you can have images and you can have them fit the width of the screen, make sure I have that. And then sometimes you can create a grid. And so that's what we're going to do here, is show how to create the grid. And that's part of the reason I selected this particular visual story, because it went through a lot of the different options. And of course, underneath each image, you can put a text. And I know when I've done images with flowers or birds, I'll often put the name of the particular item that I took a photograph in it. And then they also have what they call a glide show. It's basically a slideshow. And then as you go down through it shows a series of images. And I didn't take these in this order, but thanks to the glide show, I was able to put them in that order. And in honor of Jay and myself, at least, I thought this is a good one too, because it ends with a quote by a Packer legend, Vince Lombardi. So that's the particular story we're going to create. And let me move this out of the way. All right. So what you'll do is just type in adobeexpress.com, one thing, or you could just Google Adobe Express and it'll pop up. I'm logged in here already, but as Jay mentioned, there is an option to get Adobe Express for free. And as it says, I haven't done it though, but you don't need a credit card. You do obviously need an email address. And part of the reason for the email address and the sign in is to be able to save and edit your visual stories, or whatever for that matter you create with Adobe Express. Now, the hardest part really is finding it sometimes, because there's a lot of options here. So if we go to well, it's already on marketing, and I purposely put in a big cursor. So hopefully that helps you guys to see. And anytime through the discussion, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. This is really informal. And then go to marketing first and then view all. And under view all, you have to go to blog and website and And finally, you go to the web page. So, let's just, oops. And I won't type a whole bunch because I'm not that great a typist. And we'll put the year in. All right. Then what I can do, and this is the way this interface works completely. If I click here, it shows me what my options are. So all I've really used is a photo. You could do a short cover, and as you can see the options there in a split layout. One of the things to consider is that Adobe Express, the visual story, the web page obviously creates a link. And then that link you can publish on social media like Facebook, but you could also text it to someone, email it, or use it in a presentation. But when you text it to someone or you post it on Facebook, for instance, they may be opening it on a phone, a mobile device, so the screen won't be as big as this. But I'm going to pick a photo, and I am not. You can move things around, but I'm going to cheat and go and get a particular one to save time. So, the way this used to work, and they took away that functionality. Supposedly they're going to bring it back. Is you could take a collection in Lightroom and then sync it up, and then you could just visually go through. That's the way it used to be, but now you have to. It's a little bit clunkier. You have to go to go to your file system and upload it from there. Now the one thing in here, if I click again, it shows me my options. You could replace it, delete it. The one thing that could be important, depending on which image you pick, is selecting the focal point, because I'll show you when you scrunch, this is what they call a full screen. And when you scrunch it down, it cuts cuts off the sides of the image. And so let's say you're in portrait mode on a cell phone, this would be pretty small. And then of course it also corrects the text for you. So this particular image, and I chose it for this reason partly, is the center of the image fits well with the story I'm trying to tell. So then what I can do next, let's say I want to add some text and I want a heading, and I'm not going to type it. I'm just going to copy and paste it from here. Show that option. And then under the text, then I decided I want to put a quote. So I'll show that in there. So then there's just the double quotes. Oops, I screwed up. Never mind that. And so I can do a back button up here. Because what I wanted to do, oh, it didn't work. I thought it would undo it, but it didn't. So let's do it over. Text. And then the text I want is the heading. Why didn't it show that? There it is. And we'll take that text and just copy it. There we go. And then we'll take this quote, make sure I got it, and copy that and paste it into the quote here. And then finally, we'll just do a regular text and copy and paste this in here. So as you can see, there's a lot of flexibility in how you could create a story. And it is pretty intuitive and easy. Um, I know in my original, I had who the quote was from, strength doesn't come from winning. I believe that was by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Um, so then let's add another image. And from device, and the image I want now is one. Okay, and that's, it defaults, as you can see, to inline. That's what this particular image is. And I'm going to go to full width. And full width, even when I shrink it, it keeps the aspect ratio the same. So a lot of my stuff, a lot of my visual stories, I'll use full width in there, especially if I have a landscape image, so it's not cropped funny. And then, let's see. Oh, I've got to get this out of the way. Sorry, I had to move the zoom bar out of the way. And so now let's add another photo. And this particular one,
So, Bill, I have a question.
sure.
When you pull up those photos, can you set that up so you can actually see the photo?
No, can't you can't anymore. You used to be able to do it when it was in Lightroom. That's a really good question. So what I would do typically is I would just have it on my file system and view them and then have two windows open. It is a little bit kludgy. It used to be nicer. That's a really
Yeah,
good question though. And and you can move these up and down. So I can take this one, for instance, and if I click on the move, then I can move it up and it'll put it, uh,
yeah.
the tool's a little funky sometimes, but it'll move it
Mhm.
up and then, oh, come on. Ever since let me go back. There it goes. Ever since they added the functionality with AI, and I'm not blaming it on AI, but they added a lot of functionality to the web page, and it's acted a little funky sometimes. But you can move them up and down. And this particular one, let's get it down further. There it is. Um, let's make this one full width. Oh, and wouldn't you know it, I did this earlier today and it worked fine, but now it's acting a little funky. It won't let me scroll down. So I'm pretty sure it added that photo right, but let's double check it by displaying it. Now, if you want to see the work you've done so far, if you click on, you can see there's a little run button. If I click on that, it loads it. So this is what it has so far. Now, I have noticed when it'll put more white space in here than it does in the final version. And that's a little, now that's weird. Oh, it cut off the bottom of the photo. Oh boy. Anyway, so let's go back. And it looks like it's okay.
Yeah.
So let's keep going. And I'm moving let me move that to the top, the zoom button. So now I want to do an ad, and now what I want to do is create a grid. So I'm going to create a photo grid. And the images that I want are 17, 18, 19, and 20. Load those.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see the wheels spinning. And I know from past experience, if you don't wait for that to completely finish, it'll let you go on, but then it'll lose your work. So you want to make sure that it's successfully uploaded the images. Now what I want to do, let's say I want to take this one and I want to make it, enlarge it. So I'll make that a large photo. And then it has a sequence. And as you can see, I can move things forward or backwards, or delete an image or replace an image. So then we'll save that grid. And after the grid, what we wanted to have, is there was another full width. So I'm going to add another photo. So you can see, other than the glitches with the tool, which are sporadic, other than glitches with the tool, it is easy to use. And more time actually was spent by me picking the photos, deciding on a sequence, moving them around, than actually in playing with the tool itself. So let's change this to full width, and let's add a caption on this one. All right. Now let's create the slideshow, or glide show as they call it. And now we want to upload those. So now I want, and the performance is pretty good tonight. It's loading these fairly quickly. And usually it is good. The last time when we were going to have this presentation and we canceled it, it was because it was really slow, and they were having problems, probably because they updated the website so much, for Adobe Express in general. And now what I want to do is move this one up to the top. So we'll move it backward, and then we'll take this one. Take this one. All right, so it looks like I got them in sequence there. And then for Aaron, we'll move this one up. I guess we'll put this one at the top. So we'll have those in sequence. So that's how you create a glide show. Again, it's pretty intuitive. If you click it, it always shows you your options. You can replace it, you could delete one, or move them up and down. And we'll save that. And then we only have one more image. We'll create one more photo. And this time we'll do an inline one, and the one that we want is 14. So we'll just upload that. And since Bill was looking down, I used this particular quote by Vince Lombardi. And what we want is text, and we want a quote. put that in there. So that's that's really how to create one. Now, the interesting thing, and the reason I just made a sound is on the glide show. When I originally did this glide show, everything looked fine. Now you'll notice with the latest version of the software, on the very last image of Erin, it cuts off her head. And so I won't republish my slideshow, and I don't know exactly why it's doing that. I'll have to send in an error report to Adobe, because I contacted Adobe before about them not having the collections available anymore from Lightroom, and they said they were working on it, but it's obviously not a high priority because it's been a couple months since I contacted them on that. And so now that we have the visual story, then all I have to do is click share. This out of the way. And we'll want to publish to the web, and we'll give it a title. And we'll put the author in there. And you could, if you wanted to, you could put credits in with your copyright if you wanted to do that. And then all we do is create the link. As you can see, it's publishing it. And now if I copy that link, then I can go to a new browser page and paste. And load it. Let's move that out of the way. Okay. And then so now we've created that visual story. And with without the issue really of not having the images available to view, it really is simple to use. And I'm definitely not an expert on everything, even in visual story, and definitely not web pages. But these are the things I've created about 5 web pages for visual stories, and these are the types of features I've used a visual story. Now you'll notice here too, it did cut off Aaron's head for some reason. So with the exception of that glitch, it handled everything properly. Now, let me go back to my visual story. I'll move this out of the way. So then the next thing, if you click on here, it goes back to the home page. And you'll see down at the bottom, it shows you all the visual stories I've created, including the one I just created. And then it gives you options. And I could edit, this will go back and edit the original of this particular story. And then I can go back to here and I can delete the sample that we just created. And obviously you can also duplicate. So it is, other than really trying to find it on the web page because there's so many options, it's really pretty straightforward and it's point and click. At least in my experience, it is. Are there any questions at all, or?
Can you add video and audio?
You can add video. Let me go in and edit this.
And is there a certain file size you can add to it?
Let me look. I'm not sure on that. What you can do, I shouldn't say you can add video and audio. What you can do is add a button, and that button could connect to an URL. So,
What is it?
oh, just a text link. So if you have,
Oh, ERL, I got it.
yeah,
Text.
yeah, I think it stands for Universal Resource Locator.
Okay, got it.
But anyway, that's all it is. So I guess you can't really add a video. or a large file, other than you could link to it if you wanted to? I don't see a way to do that. That's a really good question.
I think there was an option, Bill. Go back to where you select and you can say text or,
Sure.
or, yeah, there's a video right there on the bottom left.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, there it is.
But you have to have that prepared. And that's what I would like to see. It seems like you had your photos already set up and then you had your verbiage already typed. Can you show us, if it doesn't take too long, how you prepared to build your website? I mean, you went in, you grabbed your photos. Where did you put them? So they were there. And then your text, did you
Oh.
type that text and where did you keep that? So you could grab it quickly.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was a separate Word doc. You were pulling the text off.
That's where I pulled it from, was the Word doc,
Okay.
or Pages on Mac, but it's the same thing. All I did for the images, let's see if I still have it open on the Finder. Come on.
And then you had to make a list somehow so that you knew, what that image JPEG number 1 through 14 or whatever you had.
That's exactly what I did. And I have a pad of paper here with a list of the images.
Good.
So I created, where was it? I just exported the images that I wanted to from a collection in Lightroom into, no, I don't see. Yeah, into a folder.
Image capture, no.
No.
Just a folder on your desktop.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Thank you. I'm losing it. So now we're on my desktop. I mean, let's find the desktop. Here it is. And then in there, I had Aaron and Bill's Excellent Adventure as a folder. And then I just took those and I opened them. I happened to open them with Preview app because I'm running on a Mac, but I can't remember. I don't know for sure what the name of the Windows app to do that would be. And then I just had to go through here and pick out the images and try them. Some of them you can move around, and some of them, I'll show you an example of that. Let's look at the video one first. And let's see when, oh, that's interesting.
Because don't you have to have a video to bring in?
Yeah, you definitely would have to do that.
You should be able to just put a little clip in there.
Yeah. I haven't done that, but that's a really good thing to play with, obviously.
I mean, you could do that in PowerPoint, put little video clips in. So it's
Cool.
Hmm.
And let's see. Oh, I was going to show something in here. So on the very first page, if you want to, you can't move it up and down. You have to actually literally replace it on the first one. If you have a series of images, you can move those up and down. If you have a grid, the grid then is a subset, if you will, and you can play with the images in there, but you can't move them in and out of the grid. So the grids are kind of standalone, and so are the glide shows or slideshows. So those are some of the limitations of the tool. So that's a really good point, that a good share of the time really is finding the images, deciding what order and how to play with them. And the tool itself, like I demonstrated, with the exception of the glitches, is pretty easy.
I have
So,
2 questions.
sure.
One, what size of photo are you using? A lot of times in social media, they say use a certain size for your photos. Is there a recommendation on size of photo to use for this?
What I did, I didn't see a recommendation. What I did was I used the club standards, just so they would upload quicker. And that's a good point too. I would stick with the club standards because that should be good enough for social media or showing on the, yeah, or
Okay,
even doing a display off of your screen.
okay.
That's
And
a
the other
good
question I
question.
had is when you show the very first photo,
Uh-huh.
if I'm mailing, let's say I email that to a friend or put it on social media and they don't know about Adobe Express, I see that first photo, how do I know I'm supposed to scroll down to see more?
Yep. And
Or do they think it's just a photo?
right. And what I'll do is I put text in there to say, click on the link and scroll down.
Okay. So you just tell them in your text to make sure that they know to do that then and
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
I'll show you an example quick.
I think you can add a button to it too. Well, that's one of your options, right? And you can add that button, which you can then type something in like scroll down or something like that. Is that not what that's for?
You could use it for that, yeah, well, the button too is an URL, so let me finish this quick and then I'll go to that. But on my web page, I've got my visual stories and I did exactly that. Click on the link below. Once it loads, scroll down. Now
Okay.
that just brings you to the visual story. Now back to Jackie's question. Let's go to the button and let's see what I think it provides an URL. I'm on the sample one, so let's close that. And let's go to here. And I have the button. Yeah, the button provides an URL. So that would be once you're scrolling down and you have it, to show it. Because it's just, let's just do one. And copy it. Thank you. And so that added a button. So let's now publish this. It'll be interesting what it does because it's going to put it in a loop. And let's see, I have to move this out of the way. And I have to publish it. We'll see how it behaves when I click on the button. It's probably going to load another page. Yeah, that's what it did. So the easiest way, unless you created a visual story with just the button to click on it, and then, yeah, that wouldn't work too well. So I don't think that'll work that easily. So the verbiage of telling them to scroll down, that seems to work well. I know with those 5, I've got a lot of positive feedback from Facebook, and from people, and nobody really seemed to have a problem with that, with the verbiage added. Of course, that has to be added. Let's see.
So Bill, you basically just made your own web page this way, correct?
That's exactly what I did. And they host the web page. So I don't need we don't need web server or anything for this, which is kind of cool. Adobe hosts it for us. And I just happen to have a web page that I put all my visual stories on. That's a good point.
Now, is that on the free version or is that on the bought version? Or
Free
both?
version.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, it's kind of cool what Adobe that they provide that.
So, you've got, if you're getting the subscription of Lightroom, the photo plan on Adobe, you have access to free web pages too. I don't know if, or websites. I don't know if you're aware of that. You can publish up to 5 free websites. And if you choose to do that, and say you have just one, you can also publish these that you just, like Bill just created, on your web page. So you can put them on there and that you can make a link so that they will then access from your web page to this kind of journal type, the Adobe Express. So you can use them inside of your web pages that are also free. So that's a neat little thing. And then you could link it back, like you could add that sample button like he just did. You could make it, take it over to like a full set of pictures from that particular event or something like that.
That's a good point. And that brings to the next thing I was going to discuss. And like Jackie's pointing out, there's so many different ways, even to create a visual story, even just using the tool, that I'd be real interested to see how people use it and what they create. Because it is a lot of fun and it's pretty easy to put it together and people seem to like it. And I really like your idea, Jackie, of using their free web server web page and linking to that.
And too, I've done this, that's why I know. It's like, because it used to be called something else, like it was called Spark or something. They've had it out there for years and years. But anyway, you can also, if you put it on your website and say you have a version that you don't mind anybody that stumbles on your webpage look at, you can have that open. But if you want to keep it confidential, so you want to create one of these I call them journals. What did you call them, Bill?
A visual story.
Yeah, so you can put a password on it so that unless this person has the password, they can't view your visual story, or you can make it so that anybody can access it. So, if you use that website that Adobe gives you, you can set it up, to the way you want it and do some really neat things.
Cool. Yeah, where I saw this was on a Scott Kelby discussion about, I guess it was about a year and a half ago. And he shared that it used to be Adobe Express. But he was just using this portion of it. And no, it is cool what you can do with the tools. Really neat.
So you've been using it about a year and a half?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I've had it like 7 or 8 years. It's been out there a long time.
Yeah,
I like their web page. They have the web pages you can set up. That's been there for a long time.
yeah, I've just used the visual story aspect of it.
And they used to have, I don't know if they still do, this is kind of a combination. It gives you photos and it gives you the ability to put videos in it. I think there's also one, unless they've stopped making it, that was just videos. And so it would be like a video journal. It seemed like they had 3 different ones.
Let me look.
I don't know about that.
The
Oh, there's
Adobe-
something called Spark Post. I don't know what that equates to.
Let me go.
They may have combined a couple.
Yeah, see, Adobe Express, or what used to be Sparks, there's a lot of possibilities of things you can do. And like I say, I was just covering a small part of the web page and just the visual story. but for marketing, there's all these options. Presentations, banners, all, it's just pretty wild. It's pretty cool. A lot of options to play with. But the one we were interested in is blog and web page. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the one with the video links outside of what we went through, what's possible with Express.
Bill, I'm gonna next year use this for our e-Christmas card.
There you go.
Well, that'd be fun.
Yeah, it
As
does.
long as there's no size capacity, you can go pretty much crazy.
Yeah, I think you can.
Thank
It's-
you.
You're
This is
welcome.
great. This is very good. Appreciate it.
You can start on your Christmas card now and work toward next year. Get them
Yeah.
out early.
So that's what I had. Jay, do you have anything else or? Maybe Jay's not
It's
on.
muted.
It's muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
Absolutely. Yeah, before I stop the video, I just want to make sure we get all our, as many questions in as possible. One I thought is if a bunch of us go off and try some different things, we ought to maybe connect it back to the rest of the people. Because like Bill said, there's so many different possibilities here. It's really quite amazing, And the other thing I wonder is really if there's any limitation to doing it for free, not having, an Adobe product. But anyway. But
Yeah.
One of
I will try that, Jay. I'll try to create one. I'll just create a bogus account and see what it'll do out of curiosity.
I'd see if it's limited in any way or
Sure.
that. So, okay, is that it, Bill, for tonight then?
Yep, that's what I have.
Okay, well, I'm going to.
Very interesting. Thank you, Bill.
You're more than welcome.
Thanks. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks,
More
Bill.
than welcome.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, nice
Thank you,
job.
Bill. Appreciate it.